AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, what to choose? Azure Data Engineer versus AWS Data Engineer, head-to-head comparison. Difference between AWS Data Engineer and Azure Data Engineer. How are they similar? What should you choose between AWS Data Engineer and Azure Data Engineer? Businesses are increasingly depending on cloud platforms to manage and analyze their data in today's data-driven environment. Two of the most well-known cloud service providers, Amazon Web Services, AWS, and Microsoft Azure, provide reliable data engineering solutions. Often, aspiring data engineers must choose between two options, AWS Data Engineer or Azure Data Engineer. To assist you in choosing wisely between becoming an Azure Data Engineer versus AWS Data Engineer for your cloud career, we will evaluate these two professions based on a number of factors in this in-depth guide. We'll also discuss the advanced architecting on AWS to help you kickstart your cloud career. Azure Data Engineer versus AWS Data Engineer, head-to-head comparison. Let's start by looking at the crucial factors that will be used to contrast between Azure Data Engineer versus AWS Data Engineer. Difference between AWS Data Engineer and Azure Data Engineer. 1. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, platform. AWS Data Engineer, AWS is a leader in the cloud computing industry and provides a variety of services for data engineering. It is a great option for companies with a global presence because of its well-known strong infrastructure and global reach. Azure Data Engineer, Microsoft Azure is another industry giant that provides a comprehensive cloud platform. Azure is known for its integration with Microsoft products, making it attractive to enterprises that rely on Microsoft technology stacks. 2. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, data services. AWS Data Engineer, AWS provides a variety of data services, including AWS Glue for ETL, extract, transform, load, processes, Amazon Redshift for data warehousing, and AWS Kinesis for real-time data streaming. Azure Data Engineer, Azure offers Azure Data Factory for data integration, Azure Databricks for advanced analytics, and services like Logic Apps for workflow automation. 3. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, data warehousing. AWS Data Engineer, AWS Redshift is a popular choice for data warehousing, known for its scalability and high-performance analytics capabilities. Azure Data Engineer, Azure Synapse Analytics, formerly known as SQL Data Warehouse, is Azure's data warehousing solution, offering seamless integration with other Azure services. 4. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, ETL tools. AWS Data Engineer, AWS provides a suite of ETL tools, including AWS Glue, AWS Lambda for serverless processing, and AWS Step Functions for orchestrating workflows. Azure Data Engineer, Azure Data Factory is a powerful ETL service in Azure, and Azure Databricks offers advanced data processing capabilities, while Logic Apps enable workflow automation. 5. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, analytics and BI tools. AWS Data Engineer, AWS offers Amazon QuickSight for data visualization and Tableau server integration for robust analytics capabilities. Azure Data Engineer, Azure provides Power BI for data visualization and Azure Analysis Services for enterprise-grade analytics. 6. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer certification. AWS Data Engineer. AWS offers the AWS Certified Data Analytics certification, which covers various data-related topics, including data engineering. Azure Data Engineer. Microsoft offers the Azure Data Engineer certification, specifically designed for professionals working with Azure Data Services. 7. AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer market share. AWS Data Engineer. AWS has long been the dominant player in the cloud market, holding a significant share of global cloud infrastructure. Azure Data Engineer. Azure has been rapidly gaining ground and has a strong presence in the cloud market, especially among enterprise clients. How are they similar? Despite the differences between an AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer, they share several similarities. Cloud-based approach. Both roles are cloud-focused, leveraging the benefits of scalability, reliability, and cost efficiency that cloud platforms offer. Data integration. Both roles involve integrating various data sources and transforming data to make it usable for analytics and reporting. Certifications. Both AWS and Azure offer certifications that can validate your skills and expertise in data engineering, making you a more attractive candidate to potential employers. What should you choose between AWS Data Engineer and Azure Data Engineer? Choosing the best cloud computing courses online between Azure versus AWS Data Engineering ultimately depends on your individual circumstances and career goals. Here are some factors to consider. Experience. If you already have experience with one of these cloud platforms or are proficient in a specific technology stack, it might make sense to align your career with the platform you're most comfortable with. Company stack. If you're targeting a specific company or industry, research whether they predominantly use AWS or Azure. Tailoring your skills to their preferred platform can give you an advantage. Certification. Consider pursuing the certification that aligns with your chosen platform, as it can enhance your credibility and job prospects. Future trends. Keep an eye on industry trends and job market demands. The cloud landscape is constantly evolving, and the demand for specific skills may change over time. Skills transferability. While there are differences between AWS versus Azure Data Engineering, many core data engineering concepts and skills are transferable between the two platforms. Learning one platform can make it easier to adapt to the other if needed. Conclusion. In the AWS Data Engineer versus Azure Data Engineer debate, there is no one-size-fits-all answer. Both roles offer promising career opportunities, and your choice should align with your skills, goals, and the demands of the job market. To excel in your chosen career, continuous learning is key, and the Knowledge Hut AWS Advanced Architecting on AWS can be invaluable in enhancing your expertise and staying ahead in this dynamic industry. Frequently asked questions, FAQs. 1. Who earns more, Azure or AWS? Salary can vary depending on various factors, including location, experience, and specific job roles. Both AWS and Azure offer competitive salaries for data engineers. Research job listings and salary surveys in your area to get a better understanding of the earning potential. 2. Which is better for a career, Azure or AWS? The choice between Azure and AWS for your career depends on your goals and preferences. Both platforms are widely used and offer strong career prospects. Consider factors like your existing skills, the job market in your region, and your long-term career aspirations when making your decision. 3. Is Azure harder than AWS? The difficulty of working with Azure or AWS can vary depending on your background and experience. Some individuals may find one platform more intuitive or challenging than the other. It's advisable to start with the platform you are most comfortable with or interested in and gain experience from there. 4. Why do I prefer Azure over AWS? Your preference for Azure over AWS or vice versa may depend on your specific needs and experiences. Some prefer Azure for its seamless integration with Microsoft products, while others may find AWS' extensive service offerings more appealing. Consider your project requirements and comfort with the platform when making a choice.